What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. Reacting to, I spent $40,000 on guitar gear, and I learned this from AJ De Vera. So what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to I spent $40,000 on guitar gear and I learned this by AJ De Vera. As always, if you haven't already subscribed to AJ, go and give AJ a sub. And I've also included the original video's link in the description down below. Please go and click on that and give that a like as well. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me reacting to next. And let us be getting to it.
I've spent well over $40,000 in gear in my 30-year guitar journey.
Wow.
If I can go back and talk to my 13-year-old self and give him some advice on what gear I actually use every day so he can find his tone sooner and save some money, here's what I would say.
But would younger you really listen anyways? But their show's so shiny and so nice. And they look so wonderful. And they play so nice. And this one sounds like this and that one sounds like that. It's like Pokemon. I want to catch them all. Sorry. I'll see myself out.
Lesson number one when it comes to buying guitars is you get what you pay for. Now, my dream guitar growing up was a Gibson Les Paul. Now, obviously, when I was 13, I couldn't afford a Gibson Les Paul, and so I got a job as a dishwasher one summer, and I saved $700, and I bought myself an Epiphone Les Paul. I loved that guitar, I loved how it played, and I loved how it sounded. I played it in my early bands, and I thought, how different could this guitar be from an actual Gibson Les Paul? Well, I didn't know the answer to that question until about 10 years after purchasing that Epiphone Les Paul. I bought this guitar, my Gibson Les Paul Studio, my first real Gibson. Now, there's about $1,000 difference between the Epiphone Les Paul and this Gibson Les Paul Studio, and let me tell you, there's a huge difference. The sound, the tone, the sustain, and most important, the feel of the guitar. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments below saying, AJ, it's the same guitar. Well, let me tell you, there's a huge difference. In fact, I made a video where I shot out my Gibson Les Paul Standard with my friend's Epiphone Les Paul Standard. Go watch that video after you watch this one. But spoiler alert, the huge difference is the feel of the guitar. So if you are looking at a more expensive guitar,
you see, that's potentially the problem. How do you measure and show graphs and proof of the feel of the guitar? I'm not saying that he's wrong at all by any means. I'm not playing both of these two guitars myself. But a lot of people that know me, I am these days a huge proponent for some of the more, again, I'm not going to call them cheap, inexpensive guitars that are actually doing quite well for themselves. But anyways, no, I'm not going to say that that is, not the case with him saying the feel, but that's something that's hard to measure. That's something that's hard to show a graph on. What exactly are we dealing with?
Guitar and are also looking at its cheaper alternatives. My advice to you is to not buy those cheaper alternatives. Save your money and get that expensive guitar when you can, because man, there's no feeling like playing a guitar that you love and that you worked hard for, that plays really nice. Lesson number 2, and it's gonna be contrary to lesson number 1, is sometimes cheap gear can surprise you. Remember this little pedal called the Bad Monkey? Well, before
I already know where he's going with this. Oh yes, oh yes. From that pedal show, I think it is the name of the channel. My God, I watch so many music YouTubers. I get some of the names. The GHS pedal show, I think it is. When he said that, oh yeah, basically the Bad Monkey is it's pretty much like the Klon. It does everything that the Klon does. And ever since that happened on Reverb, they went from being the usual, 50 to maybe $80 or so. They went up to almost Klon type prices. Just because of one video going, it's just as good. Yeah, I think that's where he's going with this.
GHS pedals blew this pedal up and turned it into a cult classic by comparing it to a Klon Centaur. Yeah. This pedal was widely available on the market for $60, and there was a ton of them on the used market. You couldn't get rid of these pedals. But the cool thing about surprisingly cheap pedals like this one is that it solves problems of more expensive gear like the Tube Screamer. The Bad Monkey is arguably better than the Tube Screamer because it has these two tone knobs right here, a low and a high. Whereas we all know a regular Tube Screamer just has one tone knob. So this pedal solves the problem of the Tube Screamer, making your tone small. This one can make your tone fatter. So my advice to you when searching and buying pedals is sometimes the cheaper ones are the good ones. A few cheaper pedals I recommend are any of the JHS 3 Series pedals. They go for...
He's not wrong about cheaper pedals, especially when it comes to multi-effects units. You guys all know that I'm a huge fan of like the Valatin and Hot Tone stuff like the Ampero line. I love both of them. I only got endorsed with one of them where they gave me a free unit, but I wouldn't be talking about them like this if I didn't believe in what they were doing. And just, absolutely monstrous ones. Even like the GP 100 and the smaller version of like the Hot Tone stuff and the Ampero stuff is just fantastic these days. Like they got the GP 5 coming out for, the price of like a tuner on your pedal board. And it can take NAM profiles, do amp modeling and effects and all that sort of stuff. It's just, wow, what a time to be a guitar player or a bass player.
For about $100. The classic Boss DS1 and my favorite dual overdrive, the Electro Harmonix Hot Wax. This rivals any boutique double overdrive pedals. Lesson number 3, tone chasing isn't linear. I always thought upgrading gear meant going up in size, going up in wattage, going up in gain, maybe following all the hype. In my 20s, I owned a JCM 900 and I loved that amp, but there were some nights where I'd be playing a gig, I always thought that it didn't have enough gain or distortion on tap. So one day I had an opportunity to trade that JCM 900 for a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. With the dual rectifier, I thought I'd have all the gain in the world. And when I brought that Mesa Boogie into my practice space and I played it for the first time, I immediately regretted my decision. Not that there was anything wrong with the Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, but it just wasn't my sound. I missed the bite of the JCM 900. I missed the mid-range bite, and I just found that the Mesa was too scooped and too boomy for what I was doing. That was the first time I realized that tone and chasing tone wasn't a straight line. So the lesson I learned is bigger, newer, and more expensive doesn't necessarily mean it's better for you. And sometimes you have to make...
This is absolutely true. Sometimes you get great tone out of really, really simple solutions. Dimebag Darrell from Pantera loved the sound of his guitar when he was tracking in, going in through a tiny, I think it was like a tiny 2 or 4 channel Mackie mixer, and he would have 2 different mics going in and he would blend them on the way into one track. And that's the way he liked his sound going to tape. Sometimes it's very cheap and very inexpensive things that deliver the best tone. Hey, the 57, the Shure SM57, that microphone is only $100. It's on everything. It's used for everything. Expensive and bigger and better doesn't always. He's absolutely right. I agree with you 100%, Sal.
Wrong choices in order to know that you're on the right path. Man, I missed that JCM 900. One day we'll be reunited. Lesson number 4, workflow matters more than features. In my younger years, I wanted the biggest pedal board I could build. I wanted all the pedals on it. I wanted the most options. But the problem I realized was the more pedals I had, the more options that I had, the more decisions I had to make, the less I played. I would spend way too much time
Option paralysis. Yes. Oh, yes. I've been talking a lot on this channel and my other channel where I do live streams like crazy about NAM profiles. You would think that I'm actually endorsed and getting some sort of kickback for talking about them. No, I'm just blown away by it. But just like, these modelers that we have normally as it is, that have, 80 amplifiers, 60 cabs, you could spend way too much time tone chasing and getting every little tiny nuance of this cabinet versus this amp versus this overdrive pedal, blah, blah, blah. So you eventually sit there going, you know what? I'm pretty simple as far as the tones that I want. I want this, that, and this, like basically 3 or 4 different tones and I'm good to go. Why am I spending all this time diving way too deep on, little tiny details that in the final mix you're not going to hear anyways, when I should be just playing music? Yes, it does happen. Option paralysis. It's a real thing.
tweaking and not enough playing. And so a few years ago, I decided that enough was enough and I wanted to downsize. And for the last 3 or so years, this little pedal board has powered my entire setup. I have.
Look at that. That looks like all that you need. He's got a little clean boost there. He's got the HX Stomp. He's got the Strymon for his wet effects. A lot of people love the Strymon stuff. And I'm guessing the MXR is a mini Phase 90 from what it looks like, VH authentic one. Yeah, that is absolutely all that you need. If I had a mini pedal board for when I was gigging, I'd have something like that as well too. If I wasn't doing the looping thing. Yeah, that's perfect.
A video on this pedal board. I will link it right here. The great thing about having this small board is it simplified my entire workflow. 99% of the time, this pedal board sits at my desk, and whenever I have an idea for a demo or if I'm working with a client and they need a quick guitar part, I can just jump on here, plug a guitar into my DAW, and I'm recording within seconds. So my tip for you when building a rig, think about your workflow and not your wish list, and build around that. If it's a hassle to use and to set up, you're not going to use it. Creativity thrives on simplicity, and I've found this to be the most important thing in my workflow, and having a simple board makes my workflow so much better.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. Application is everything. So with him saying, think about workflow, kind of the same thing, really. What are you going to be using this gear for? Yeah, absolutely. Think about that as opposed to your wish list. We've all bought gear or pedals and stuff that we knew that we were going to have just to kind of have sitting at home in the studio that we knew we weren't going to use that much, but it's just really cool. We've always wanted it. Yeah. Prioritize on the gear that you're going to be using in whatever sort of creative situation, recording, gigging situation. Just like you said. Yeah, absolutely.
Tip number 5, forever gear isn't about price. I used to think forever gear, or gear that I would keep forever, was about the expensive pieces of gear I had, like my guitars, my amps, and my pedals. But I realized that forever gear is gear that you connect with, no matter what the price point is. For example, during COVID, I picked up this Fender Starcaster on a whim. It's a weird shape, it's a semi-hollow, it's an import guitar, and it's not fancy, but for whatever reason, this guitar, the last few years, has become one of my go-tos whenever I want to pick up a guitar.
You are preaching to the choir about that, my man. I have several inexpensive instruments, but technically I've got quite a few that were very inexpensive that I've had modified quite a bit. Only one that I've done myself. I'm new with being a guitar tech, and I shouldn't even call myself a guitar tech. I finally have been brave enough to rip apart a guitar and change some things out for the first time in decades. No, I have quite a few inexpensive guitars that I just love, that I think are fantastic, that are not going anywhere. I hear you.
But I just connect with it so much. The point that I'm trying to make is forever gear doesn't have to be your most expensive Les Paul, your most expensive amp. It's just a gear that you love playing on a day-to-day basis. And maybe it has some sentimental value to you. So pay attention to what you use the most. In fact, I only realized that I picked this guitar up the most because it showed up in more of my covers in my Instagram page than any other guitar that I owned. And that's it. Those are the 5 lessons that I learned after doing the painful math of trying to figure out how much I've spent on gear my entire guitar career. Hopefully it will help you make smarter choices when purchasing gear.
I've never actually thought about how much money I've spent on gear throughout my career. I don't know. One thing that anybody that knows me and has watched the channel or seen me on the live streams knows is that my guitar collection in the last year or two has blown up like it never has before. I've kind of went a little bit crazy, but of course, it's nothing special. There's a lot of Harley Benton stuff and a lot of very affordable guitars in there, but yes, I've been having fun with it. But yeah. I have no idea. I don't know if it's quite even close to 40 grand though. Probably not, but dang, he's a young feller that, to have spent over 40 grand in gear by this time. But hey, good for him.
If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you. If you want to see my forever gear and I have a video about that, I will link it right here. If not, this is my forever amp. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
All right, that was reacting to I spent $40,000 on guitar gear and I learned this from AJ De Vera. As always, if you've not already subscribed to AJ, go and give him a sub right now, please. And I've also included the original link for the video in the description down below. Please go and click on that and give the original video a like. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me reacting to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.